Tough Enough is getting down to the nitty gritty. We learned that upon Diana's departure from Tough Enough, a new contestant entered the fray of Tough Enough, Chelsea. And right off the bat, she impressed the coaches, her housemates, including herself. Because if you get somebody new on a show mid-season, you don't know what they're going to bring. And Chelsea really opened up a lot of eyes. So maybe she has a chance to win, but we'll see. But this week was about cutting promos. And I would say some of the promos by some of these contestants were horrible. Okay? They have a lot of work to do. And the one good promo, I would have to say, came from Patrick. And he laid it down. So he's been tearing it up on Tough Enough. And a lot of the women in the barracks in Orlando are really unhappy with what Gabby's bringing to the table. Because she hasn't done nothing, according to what the women goes and say. But I think that Gabby has what it takes. But, you know, when it came to doing in-ring technical skills with the coaches, Gabby failed. And so did Sarah Lee. And she really irritated Billy Gunn to a point where Billy Gunn was about to really say, you know what, get off this show, you don't really belong here. But she made due diligence of the in-ring technical skills workout for that part of the show, and Billy had a little bit of a gesture saying, it took you that long to figure it out. It should have taken you right away, a 1, 2, 3 to really figure it out, because most of the other contestants are comprehending what to do, what has to be done, and how it has to be done. And Sarah Lee failed at that, and so did Tanner. So, you know, it's interesting, you know, that if you get into an in-ring workout with coaches, you really have to adapt. And Sarah Lee, Tanner, and Gabby did not adapt to this week's in-ring workout. And thus, they were on to the bottom 3 by Hogan, Page, and Daniel Bryan. And we found out that Sarah Lee, despite her miscues, stayed. She was safe from the elimination. So it was just down to Tanner or Gabby. And Gabby's been my pick since day one. And America and the world voted that Tanner stays and that Gabby is gone. So we're getting down there. We're getting really, really down there. So next week, Tough Enough, it's going to be even more intense than what it's already been. For those who like Total Divas and missed Tuesday's episode, you missed a good one. And you missed, well, almost turned out to be a fight between some of the divas like the Bellas, Foxy, and Eva Marie. And those girls, the Bellas and Foxy, you know, they continue to rain down hatred on Eva Marie because they don't like the fact that she's been practicing in California with a private trainer, Brian Kendrick. And they feel that it's favoritism because the majority of the other divas like Natty, Paige, the Bellas, they all had to work in NXT, and they worked hard in NXT. So, you know, they feel that it's just favoritism towards Eva Marie. And Eva Marie is just saying, you know what, it's not my fault, don't blame me, don't blame the company. I'm busting my ass, and I'm coming for you. And it's going to be interesting, in my opinion, to see where this goes next week. Because I'm really wondering if there's going to be a cat fight brewing, and it's going to be interesting. Also on Total Divas was this ongoing thing with Natalia and her father, Jimmy Anvil Neidhart. And many of you might know, might not know, that Jimmy Anvil Neidhart was part of the Hart Foundation. Really good technical wrestler, former tag team champion. And lately, he's been battling, alcoholism. And he's been going into rehabs, trying to curb his alcoholism addiction. And it hasn't been working out too well because Natty says that it's getting him kicked out. He's aggressive, throwing tantrums, punching, hitting things, breaking things, not listening, not going on schedule. And it's really hurting Natty, as you saw, if you watch Total Divas, that she really wants her father to be well. And the WWE gave D'Anvil a chance to prove himself at this year's WrestleMania at an autograph signing in San Jose at the convention center during WrestleMania week. And from all indications, it looked like it went well. So that's something to watch. And finally, on Total Divas, Brie and Daniel Bryan went to a fertility clinic trying to, start a family, and we'll see where that ends up. So I'm hoping the best for Bryan and Brie, to really get a family, because that's a great couple right there. Give you a little bit of a preview to what's going on next week on Total Divas. Nikki and Brie, along with Eva, tried to talk things out with Eva Marie. So that's the one thing on that show next week to really focus your attention on. And Paige, making this her very first WrestleMania, will be in tears, so we're going to see where that leads, and we'll see where the story leads with Bryan and Brie trying to get a baby. So Total Divas next week looks really, really interesting. This week, NXT live there on the WWE Network from the home of Tough Enough, Full Sail University in Orlando. And tonight, we had a couple of okay matches, I would say. Samoa Joe beat a local jobber. And for those who know all about Samoa Joe, including myself, he's really, really good. So he put up a much-needed big win. Blake and Murphy put up a win against a local tag team jobber, and they're awaiting the Vaudevillains, probably going to be set for Brooklyn. We learned that Sami Zayn has set his eyes and his sight back on returning from a major shoulder injury that was caused by the beatdown of Kevin Owens back in February, and he wants to fight for the NXT title no matter who it is, if it's Owens, if it's Balor. But from all indications, he's setting his sights strictly on Kevin Owens, and he wants to put an end to the destruction that Kevin Owens has been raining down, either whether it's on NXT, Monday Night Raw, pay-per-view, Smackdowns, live events, it doesn't matter. Sami Zayn really wants to put an end to Kevin Owens, so he sets his sights right back on Kevin Owens. We also learned that William Regal at Comic-Con will and did sign off on a Balor-Owens rematch, which will be taking place in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center August 22nd at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, 2 nights before Monday Night Raw and the night before SummerSlam. So that's interesting. So that's something to really look forward to. And by the way, on a side note, for those who want to go to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn on August 22nd, tickets go on sale this coming Saturday. So check Ticketmaster, StubHub for prices if you really want to go. And lastly, on NXT tonight was the NXT Women's title match between Charlotte and Sasha Banks the boss. And this all happened because of last week when Charlotte and Sasha Banks teamed up for the first time in a long time to team up against Dana Brooke and Emma. And there was a deal that was made by Charlotte, and the deal was that she'll team up with Sasha if Sasha grants her the NXT Women's title for tonight. And it's exactly what happened last week. So Sasha agreed to put her belt that she's held now since February 11th for 5 months on the line tonight. And both of them, Charlotte and Sasha Banks, put up a fight. Okay, they put up one good match on NXT, and the crowd chanted that it was really awesome, and it was. I agree. And there were points during the match that Charlotte had the match won, Sasha Banks had the match won, and Sasha hit the bank statement and picked up a good win. And even though she's the NXT Women's Champion, Sasha Banks, she will make an impact on Monday Night Raw in that division up there. And I think she's going to set her sights on Nikki Bella and that Divas title up there on Monday Night Raw. So while she put up a good match against Charlotte and retained her NXT Women's title, she will capture that Divas title that Nikki's been holding for almost a year now, and it's going to come very, very soon. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes to SummerSlam that you're going to see Sasha capture that title. So that probably is going to lead to her losing the NXT Women's title at NXT TakeOver in Brooklyn, thus leading to Sasha Banks capturing the Divas title from Nikki Bella. So NXT was really good. If you haven't checked it out, listen to this review or watch NXT on the WWE Network. As we approach Battleground in 3 days, Smackdown made a pit stop in Birmingham, Alabama, where tonight we learned what's in store for Battleground. And we kicked off Thursday night Smackdown with Roman Reigns. And Reigns is sick and damn tired of the mind games being played by Bray Wyatt. And he said that what he did, Roman Reigns, to Bray Wyatt on Monday is only going to be a prelude to the ass-kicking that Reigns vows to deliver to Bray Wyatt in St. Louis this Sunday. But Bray Wyatt thinks otherwise. Bray Wyatt says that Roman Reigns will be the victim of his own games, and that it's not his time, it's everyone else's time. And he says, to close that out, anyone but you, Roman. Find me. But that, ladies and gentlemen, isn't the only thing tonight on Thursday night Smackdown. We also found out that the New Day continues to run their mouth to the primetime players and vows to take back their WWE Tag Team titles Sunday at Battleground. And primetime players think otherwise. They feel that they are a prestigious team in the tag team division and that they are there to be the best tag team in the WWE. So we'll see what happens at Battleground Sunday. Then we had a rematch of some sorts, as if you want to call it, between Neville and Stardust. And this got started on Raw Monday when Stardust came back from a leave of absence to mourn the passing of his father, Dusty, and fought Neville, and it was funny in a way because they made this into like a comic book fight. Both of them are like comic book characters, and Monday night Neville lost to Stardust. So tonight the rematch was again the comic book characters of Neville and Stardust going against one another, and this time Neville got retribution and picked up a win over Stardust, but then got attacked by Stardust in the back while being interviewed. Then we had Tamina, Naomi, and Sasha Banks. And they were talking about what transpired on Monday night with the Divas Revolution. And I'll be honest with you, give you a little bit of a flashback memory to this. I enjoyed that revolution that transpired on Monday, and we found out that Tamina, Sasha, and Naomi are now BAD, best at dominance. Like Sasha and Charlotte were BFFs, best fiercest females, we now have BAD, best at dominance. So it sounds like that Sasha, Charlotte, and Becky are up here to stay. And some news about what happened on Raw on this show that I want to break around here is that there was plans to exclude Sasha Banks from being on Monday Night Raw and from being on Thursday Night SmackDown, because the original plan was to just have Charlotte up here followed by Bayley and Becky Lynch. And what I read was that the plan was to have this NXT TakeOver revamp this whole Divas division, rid of the current Divas like what we saw tonight on SmackDown with Naomi and Tamina, and replace them with the NXT Divas. Later on probably would have been Sasha Banks, but the original plan was to have Charlotte, Bayley, and Becky up here. The original plan was that. So that's a side note on that tonight here on the SmackDown review. And another side note for those who don't get a chance to read any wrestling online, according to NoDQ.com, we found out that The Undertaker is scheduled to be on Monday Night Raw, the night after Battleground. He is rumored to be at Battleground on Sunday because they want to get him a match for Brooklyn in August at SummerSlam. So that is going to be something to see. For those who follow The Undertaker, who are diehard Undertaker fans, be on the lookout for a possible dead man sighting Sunday in St. Louis, Monday at Raw. So those are a little bit of the side notes on this review of SmackDown. And then we conclude this show with the main event. And it was a pretty decent, okay main event. It was Reigns and Ambrose versus Show and Mr. Money in the Bank, Sheamus, and that ended with a no contest because Bray Wyatt interfered and caused the match to end, and Bray Wyatt got Superman punched, then Sheamus got speared. So that's how SmackDown ended, with a Superman punch and a spear.